Hello and welcome to another episode of Wedding Wise Wednesdays. I am Brandy Jackson and I am the creator of Silver Confetti Events, as well as Silver Confetti Events Boutique and Urban Oasis Community Event Center, which I co-own along with my husband. Thank you so much for joining me this evening for another Wedding Wise Wednesdays. I will let you know that this has been pre-recorded. I have a number of opinions and things I want to share with you. But first, disclaimer, I am not a nurse. I am not a doctor. I have brought on a nurse to talk to you today. And yes, Wedding Wise Wednesdays is a show about weddings and wedding plannings. And my desire is to bridge the gap between potential wedding clients and vendors in order to create a bridge of understanding so that couples are more invested in the services they are receiving and they have a better understanding of the services they are receiving. However, tonight I am going to focus on the fact that even wedding couples have families. And with what we are going through right now with the COVID, we are all in just a different headspace as far as what's going on. So you have couples that were planning to get married that may have never lived together before or may have never gone through just something. Well, we none of us have gone through this, but just have never gone through, maybe any just tough hurdles in the relationship. So I am wanting tonight to discuss, I brought someone on to discuss the mental health side of the effects of COVID and how we can just help each other stay positive. And I want this advice to be for couples. There may be some things that come up, some communication, issues you have. And I just feel like the person that I brought on this evening is going to be able to shed some light on those things. So I am going to share this interview with you. I am excited to introduce you all to my dear friend, Mickey Burris. I actually met Mickey through my husband, and she is absolutely wonderful. And so without further ado, I am going to play a little bit of our interview, and I will be right back to talk to you right afterwards. I'm a wonderful friend of mine who is going to be speaking with us today, and her name is Mickey Burris. Mickey is the intake coordinator at River Vista, and she is also an adolescent psych nurse at Sunset Behavioral. Mickey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good. Now, can you hear me all right?
I can.
Okay, let me know as soon. We can work on that if something else happens. Mickey, can you tell me a little more about what it is that you do and your daily responsibilities?
Daily, I do intake coordinating, which is I'll receive referrals from either different hospitals, nursing care facilities, outpatient treatment centers, when they think that someone needs to be inpatient for mental health issues that can't be handled at home.
Okay, okay. And so when they can't be handled, would that be, someone threatening their own life, threatening others, like situations as such?
Um, Threatening their own lives, homicidal ideations towards others. Some people are having hallucinations and delusions.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Some people are so depressed they're not handling their ADL, such as feeding themselves or, getting out of bed just to brush your teeth might be more energy than they can spare. So things like that.
Okay. Are you finding that the individuals that you work with have a long history of, mental health issues, or are some of these just new cases that, you know, may have come?
Primarily, I'm seeing it's people that have been really suffering with these types of issues for a long time. I do see a lot of new cases, but
Mhm.
it's typically people who have battled with, depression or bipolar or some type of mental illness for years.
Okay. And now with what you do, are they, because, my you just know what you see on TV. So I'm thinking, maybe people call in and they may submit Like if you call the police and then they have like a 24, not a police, but like the psych or something, and they have a 24-hour hold. Is that the type of environment that you work in? Is there a certain amount of time that you work with people?
Yes, typically, especially if they go to the emergency room for something,
Mhm.
they'll be evaluated for psych. Then they'll give them what's called a pink slip. A
Okay.
pink slip is a 72-hour hold. Um,
Okay.
Once they pink slip you, you're not going anywhere until a doctor releases you for at least 72 hours. You would have to, you or someone in charge of your care, your power of attorney, would have to submit something in writing, asking.
Oh,
But typically, like if you are pink slipped and you come through the door, you're not going
you're
anywhere.
not getting, okay.
You're
Okay.
stuck for at least 72 hours.
Okay. Have you seen an increase? Have you seen an increase of any holds or any certain types of mental illness since this whole COVID situation has happened?
I've seen an increase a lot with people that suffer from depression. Um,
Mm.
a lot of people that suffer with schizophrenia and other things. Being When you're being forced to be in the house, and you're alone, it's affecting a lot of people mentally. Um,
Mhm.
that lack of social interaction can
Okay.
get to be it can be a lot.
Do you have any recommendations that family members, if they know of people that may have had, suffering from mental health issues, um, what what ways could do you have any recommendation, any tips? What ways could family members help?
As far as family members, communication is key. You know your partners, your children, um,
Hmm.
your family members better than anyone. Um, Sometimes you also have to read between the line and look for things that aren't necessarily being said. The thing about depression, it manifests in different ways. Like a lot of people think when you're depressed, you just lay in the bed all day.
Hmm.
Depression for some people manifests as humor. Um,
Ah,
like if you ever notice a lot of comedians that have committed suicide
you're
or thing like
right.
that,
Yeah.
they spend so much time trying to make others happy that people don't necessarily think anything's wrong with them. It's kind of like check on your strong friends too, you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. Yeah.
just asking your friends, are they okay? If you know they're taking medication, have you been taking your meds? If you are taking your meds, because a lot of times when you take meds for so long, sometimes you start to feel like you're okay, and a lot of people will
Okay.
stop taking them. Well, you're feeling okay
Yeah.
because you're taking them. You don't
Yeah.
stop once you feel okay. So basically, just checking on everyone, just making sure that you're being vigilant, you're checking, looking for little signs if someone's acting different, or maybe
Mhm.
if they're not eating, or if you notice them sleeping more, things like that. Even just trying to get someone out the house to take a walk, get
Yeah.
fresh air.
Now that you brought that up, have we had a situation in our family years ago, and it was the same thing with my family member. Everything seemed fine, but it seemed fine because they were taking their medication.
Hmm.
So they stopped taking their medication because, like you said, they felt fine. And literally like 2 weeks later ended up in the hospital, and it was just
Hmm.
a whole mess. So like she said, check on your strong friends. Because it does manifest differently. I know myself, not during this COVID, but I had to go. I spoke, to a friend because I didn't know if I was depressed or if it was just something I was going through. But it was something I was going through, and it just helped to talk. So even if it's not, actually diagnosed depression, like you said, get out, take a walk, check on people. That's great. Um,
Sunshine is awesome for it.
you said
Vitamin
what?
D, good old sunshine, vitamin D.
Yeah, yeah. Vitamin D. Okay. We keep hearing on the news that there is an increase in suicide since COVID has happened. Are you seeing that? Is that anything that you guys deal with coming in, or?
I've been seeing a lot more people voicing suicidal ideations. A lot of people are upset. They're losing their homes because they can't find employment, um, or just being in the house, isolated. They're feeling more depressed because they can't get out and see people. I've had college students, that are depressed because they were from out of the country, and when the borders
Oh
were
yeah.
closed, they couldn't get home. That was stressful. Then you have, you're already stressed in school. now you got family members in like the epicenter of what's going on, and you can't get home and you're stuck here, and just the um not knowing, just the situation,
Right.
really not knowing, and then not being able to do anything. It's really hard on people that have mental health issues, because they're already struggling with not being able to deal with their own issues, and then you add in everything else that's going on around them. That's something else that they can't control, and they're just spiraling.
Okay. For engaged couples where one party may suffer from mental illness, what recommendations do you have for them in terms of sharing information? And I ask that because I have a lot of couples where they've been dating, they've gotten engaged, and that's it. They don't, you don't sure, you've been engaged and gotten married, so you know that there's different. We learn different things and we start preparing in different ways once we are already married. But I have a number of couples that have had to postpone, so now they're having to spend a whole nother year with someone. But maybe that person did not know, they did not share that their significant other had a mental illness. If they were to go into the hospital, I guess I'm asking, like, how would they handle that? What information would that significant other need? Because they're not married yet, so their hands are really tied. They don't really have any rights to that other than the fact that this person has promised to marry them. Should they like be writing things down and putting it in a safe? Like what? Like,
Writing things down is always good. When you are entered into a hospital, especially if you've signed yourself in, or even if you're on a pink slip, you get to have like a call list.
okay,
Like at our facility, you have a call list. You also have a code, a 4-digit code. You can give certain people permission to have answers,
oh, okay,
and to ask questions about your care.
okay,
Um, so yeah, it's really not a problem, and especially if you're a POA, you have, which is a power of attorney over someone.
okay,
You have access to all their stuff anyway. But when someone goes into the hospital, they can they let you know. They even let us know at intake, like, okay, this is who I want to be able to call me. This is who I
okay,
want on my call list. This is the code, and as long as that person has the code, they can call and talk to them. And just because you're in the a psychiatric facility doesn't mean you're cut off, because they are allowed to make phone calls, and
okay,
they call their kids and call their spouses, and the spouses call, or they'll come and drop off books or more
okay,
clothing, or if they smoke cigarettes, they can bring in a pack as long as it's closed.
okay.
Because I do mental health and drug addiction.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
So are you seeing an increase in both of those areas
yes,
now?
I noticed, which oddly enough, the stimulus checks, I don't know
Oh,
that those were good for everyone.
you
Um,
know what? I thought about that, kind of crossed my mind too, because yeah.
yeah. You do have a lot of people that are struggling with addiction, and even lower income, when they get those checks around the first, and sometimes they don't make the best choices
Okay,
a lot.
yeah.
And when they get that influx of money, and let's say something's happening that's stressful, and they'll go out
Mhm.
and use, because now they have this cash. And
Right.
towards the end of the month, when everything is getting a little lower, now they're like, I shouldn't have done that, and then they want to come and seek help and things like that. So I've really noticed a lot, and I talked to a lot of my friends that do mental health. After the stimulus checks came out, it was a big
Oh,
boom, because
wow.
they had a lot of access to more cash to do more things with.
So
So
that's probably leading to a lot more like OD cases and people doing that. Wow. Yeah, it kind of crossed my mind, but that's something that you deal with all the time. And you're right that everyone's so excited about
you don't
getting
think about it.
money, you don't think about what the people are actually doing with that extra money. Wow, that's crazy. Um, what are some things that individuals with mental health issues or depression can do to keep themselves upbeat? I know you said, go for a walk, were some of the things, um, sharing with others, Zoom calls, things like that. With
Zoom calls would be great. I have a lot of my people, they paint, um,
oh, okay.
a way to express themselves artistically, knitting, crocheting, cooking,
Okay.
um, even just spending time with your kids.
Yes.
You know, I've had a lot of people that the quarantine was actually good. They got to spend a lot more time getting to know their
Mhm.
children.
Yeah.
They had previously been working so much and the kids were in school and this and that. And they're like, okay, learned a lot of things
Yeah.
about their children, even their spouses that they weren't aware of because
Yeah.
I've been with my husband 8 years and I'm like, okay,
Yes, yeah.
okay, okay, we
You
can
learn,
do this.
yeah, learning some new things about
Mm-hmm.
them. Now, you said that you work at Sun Behavioral
Mm-hmm.
with adolescents.
Yes.
So kind of talk to us about that because a lot of times we kind of worry about the adults with mental health issues. But what are you seeing with children? How can we help our children, especially our quiet ones? Because my son is not a sharer. He's not going to come and talk. I think he's fine, but he's not. A lot of kids aren't just going to open up. What are you showing with children?
The children they're wanting to lay in bed a lot more and just almost sink into the abyss of just, you know, um, a lot of kids don't like school, but school is that only source of like interaction. Like my daughter doesn't have friends in the neighborhood. So
Yeah.
since school has been out, um, she literally has no contact with anyone her age other than on the phone. And it can be a lot. My daughter has had a little bout with things. So
Mhm.
just trying to get her out more, talk to them more. I have friends that talk to my daughter because my daughter doesn't necessarily feel like she can talk to me.
Right, right.
So, but my friends, she'll tell them everything. So, I've had a friend come and get her and go take her for ice cream or
Yeah.
just finding something because all kids are different, just finding something that works for them. Um, if they're isolating, try to get them out of their room more to spend more time. Or even a lot of kids like to play video games. Maybe bring
Yeah.
the video game down into the living room where
Mhm.
they're playing, but they're not isolated in their room. So,
Right,
maybe while you're down here cooking and someone's reading a book, even though they're playing, they're still being surrounded by people. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah.
Um, like I said, walks, going for bike rides. My daughter likes to cook, so I've been trying to teach her, different things in the kitchen,
Mhm.
just different like, or even little crafts and things you can do with your kids. But basically, no one knows you. You know your child, and
Yeah.
even if you don't, even if your child seems okay, just check. Don't assume. That's
Right.
what we assume as, oh, well, we live in a nice house and we go on vacations and we do this and we do that and everything's fine. And sometimes it's not.
Yeah, I had to tell my son that because he doesn't tell mom everything, but I have my sister and like you said,
Hmm.
friends that he'll open up and he'll talk to them. So I kind
Hmm.
of just try to reiterate that. But that is good because when he does play his games, I do kind of let him no closed doors in this house, but he is upstairs in his room. But you're right, pulling them out, coming downstairs, while other things are going on. Is always best. Now I know that you work in more so like the mental health side of it, but even you're still a nurse. You still you have all of that training. What are your thoughts, your personal opinions on the opening up right now? What's going on?
It makes me nervous.
Okay.
Um, if you look back through history,
Mm-hmm.
pandemics usually last around 2 years.
Right.
Um, and usually the second wave is worse than the first.
Okay.
Where we got to reopen, people got to get back to work. I just say stay vigilant about it. I know for myself, like if my daughter and I go to the store, we wear masks. Not necessarily that I'm afraid of catching anything, but I work around
Right.
an risk population, so I wear a mask to keep others safe. um Being vigilant, hand washing is really the best thing you can do. um
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people wear gloves. I don't know that it's necessary because, okay, you're wearing gloves in the store. Let's say your phone rings. You go to grab your phone. Now you're touching your phone, or you're wearing the gloves out. And then I see gloves all over the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You're touching your car door.
Yeah.
So everything you're touching, you're kind of contaminating. Um, I carry hand sanitizer with me.
Mm-hmm.
When I come home from work, I leave my shoes at the door. I spray them with Lysol. I go directly to the basement and throw my clothes down there and get in the shower. Um,
Okay.
when I'm out at the store, I carry hand sanitizer. I even have alcohol wipes for my phone. I wipe my phone down a lot. Have you
Okay.
ever noticed that, like the side that you talk on your phone, how your face might break out?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Because
that's
yeah.
your phone is dirty.
Uh-huh.
I wipe my phone down a lot. When I get back in my car after being in a grocery store, I have
Hmm.
a I have a case of Clorox wipes in my car. So
Yeah.
I wipe down my steering wheel. I wipe down my doorknobs. I wipe down everything on the inside of my car that I might be touching. And then I use
Hmm.
my sanitizer. And I mean, really, that's all you can do. At some point, we're going to have to get out, but just trying to be vigilant. Oh, and the one thing I can say,
Hmm.
um, and avoid touching your face, because we touch our face hundreds of
Wow.
times a day and we don't even realize it. And, even just leaning
Yeah.
or rubbing your eyes. Um, if you're in the store and you grab a can of pea, well, peas don't come in can, do they? You grab a can of peaches or something,
Hmm.
put it in the car, and then your eyes itching. Now you rub your eye.
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing you can do, and it's so hard, just keep your hands away from your face
Yeah.
as much as possible and sanitize and wash.
And I started out now. I was one of the people that at first ordered a whole thing of gloves and was trying to like change them. Then it got to be a headache because you had to stop and kind of plan. Like, okay, I just touched that. Let me take them off.
Yeah,
Let me do. Look, I just let me take this
yeah.
off. And then it was kind of like, okay,
Because
now I,
gloves are made for one use. You know what I mean?
right.
They're made for a use. If I wear gloves in a hospital or in a nursing home, when I go in and do what I got to do, before I come out of that room, those gloves come off.
Yeah.
You
And
know
I
what
was wondering because in the store, the cashier will have on gloves, but if you have on gloves and you're touching everybody's food that just came through and their money and you didn't change the gloves, why do you have the gloves on? And like, but I get you're right. So I did. So now, yeah, it's hand sanitizer, washing hands all the time, and
I mean?
I kind of keep the gloves for, like you said, one use. If I'm taking like balloons from the van to the door, and that's it. That just so my clients feel a little, safer in things, and I'm not randomly touching stuff. But yeah, hand sanitizer and washing. Well, Mickey, I wanted to have you on today just to kind of touch on the mental health side of it. And also because I wanted you to speak to the adolescents. A lot of times, all right, guys. I Thank you so much for bearing with me through the interview. That was a lot of wonderful information. Thank you again, Mickey Burris, for being on the show and for sharing your information, your wealth of information with us. And just to kind of reiterate, some of the things that Mickey said, pandemics last a while. So while everything is currently opening up, I just cannot stress, please, please, please be vigilant about protecting yourself. I know a lot of people do not want to wear the face mask, but it's not only to well, it's really just to protect other people. A lot of people are asymptomatic. You don't know what you have. You don't know if you go to the store and you touch something and then you go visit your grandmother, you could potentially get your grandmother sick. So it's kind of just, having a big heart and looking out for everyone during this time. I know that for Silver Confetti events and Urban Oasis, we are changing a lot of our practices and lowering numbers. I do know that for Silver Confetti events, I am lowering my event numbers that I will be taking. I feel better with lower number events, so I will be focusing more on intimate type events, 50, 75 people maybe for at least the next year. Because once again, if you look back in history, we have had pandemics, the worst being obviously the influenza in 1918, but that started in the spring, COVID, of 1918 and ended in the summer of 1919. So it kind of, you got to learn from your history or you're doomed to repeat it. So I understand the economy does need to open back up. People do need to work. I am an event planner. That is what I do. But we have to adapt. That is what the world does. That's nature. That's evolution. We have to adapt and find a different way. So for now, I'm just going to err on the side of caution. You know, when I do events, I probably will be one of the people that people think look ridiculous. I'm wearing the mask. I'm going to have gloves for me when I do touch certain things. I will probably have the face shields, the whole gear, and I'm gonna get it as cute as I can with my logo on it. But I'm going to err on the side of caution because I have a family, just like everyone else, as well as I want to be here to be able to celebrate with you when this is all done. It's unlikely we would have a safe vaccination anytime soon. And then, but again, I'm not a doctor. I don't work for the FDA, but I'm just going to err on the side of caution and what I feel is best practices. And I hope that you all do too. And I hope that you all found great value in the Wedding Wise Wednesdays episode tonight. I will be back with you again next Wednesday, and we are going to have more conversations about weddings and events. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your evening.